Time now to talk more politics. I'm joined by State Representative Vivian Flowers, Democrat from Pine Bluff, and Senator Jeremy Hutchinson, Republican from Little Rock, sometimes Benton, right? Yeah. Welcome to both of y'all. Appreciate you being here.
Always Pine Bluff for me.
Let's talk about this week in presidential politics first. First of all, there was a debate at the beginning of last week, and so I'm just both of your impressions. How do you think the debate went, Senator Hutchinson? I will start with you. Donald Trump versus Hillary Clinton.
I'll be honest with you, I didn't watch it. I've seen a lot of replays, and I have a general feel for how it went. And from my perspective as a Republican, I can't say that it went very well. But luckily, debates are a blip, and there's a lot more time between now and the election. And I hope Mr. Trump will begin to talk about the issues. And I think if he lays out a conservative agenda, the country's ready for that. I think the country's tired of the Obama policies and certainly doesn't want to see 8 more years of it. But he's got to start talking about it and stop talking about other insignificant nonsense.
Yeah. All right. Representative Flowers, how about you? What was your takeaway on the debates?
Well, I watched it from beginning to end, and I wasn't surprised. I think that Secretary Clinton was very substantive and specific and prepared. And I think that Donald Trump was the opposite, but that's been a pretty consistent theme, I think, throughout the. You
weren't surprised by the way it played out?
Not at all.
Yeah.
I think last time we were together, we were doing a post-convention or post-debate. It was something, and my poor Jeremy, he was uncomfortable and very choicey with his words about talking about Mr. Trump, and that's because of what kind of candidate he's been.
We should have brought you in the week that Hillary Clinton was having health troubles.
Well,
that's what we should have done.
I'm not totally comfortable with Mr. Trump, but if I was a Democrat having to defend Hillary Clinton, I think I would be equally uncomfortable. I think both candidates are flawed, and so that's why I hope people will vote on their philosophies and the direction of the country, and because I think if you look at either candidate, neither one of them is terribly inspiring.
Okay. Well, go ahead.
Absolutely not. And I think that's part of the strategy, is trying to pair them both as equally as fill in the blank. And I think when you put one against the other in terms of resume, in terms of consistency, there is no comparison. That when you look at Hillary Clinton's record in Arkansas, as First Lady in Arkansas, and for the nation as Secretary of State and as a U.S. Senator, she's always been stellar, she's always been substantive, she's always been a hard worker. And I think only recently, when she put her hat in the ring again for president, did you see this tirade of complaints and attacks that you didn't see before.
Let me ask you, I mean, do Democrats get concerned, though? She has not been able to break away from the pack with the two candidates as diametrically opposed as you say that they are, yet this is still a very tight race. I mean, does that not concern Democrats that she's not a stronger general election candidate?
I think that because it's a race, and I think because she's a trailblazer as a woman, and I think we don't talk about that, but I think because she is a woman candidate, and there are, I think, often a double standard in terms of the way that her record is interpreted, I would challenge anyone to put her record next to Donald Trump's and then put a man's face and dare anyone to say that the turnout of the media coverage and the comments would be the same. Never has there been a male candidate for president, and anyone focuses on how he wears his hair or his weight, or the height of his heels.
Hair and his weight, so, but I hear what
never
you're saying.
Before.
Right.
And
Marco Rubio's shoes, I mean, we talked about those quite a bit too, so I'll give you 60 seconds to respond.
Well, I think Hillary Clinton has done a lot of wonderful things in her life, and she has a lot to be proud of. I think recently, when she's not been the First Lady for Governor Clinton, and she's been on her own, whether it be as Secretary of State or as a U.S. Senator, I think there are a lot of worthy criticisms and a lot of failures and a lot of mistrust that the American people have when they think of Hillary Clinton. I think that mistrust is justified. So I would stand by my assertion that they're both flawed candidates, and I hope that American people vote based on philosophy.
All right, we're going to take a commercial break. We're going to come back and talk some state issues. That was good national dialogue there, so I appreciate it. Representative Vivian Flowers, Senator Jeremy Hutchinson are our guests. We're back with more right after this. And welcome back. State Representative Vivian Flowers, Senator Jeremy Hutchinson are our guests. All right, we could go for like another hour on presidential discussion, and maybe we'll go offline and talk about that. Let's talk about a big state issue. You guys are going to be both deeply entrenched in some debate next legislative session on prison and sentencing reform. Senator Hutchinson, I will let you go first. 2 things that you feel like have to get addressed in the next session.
Well, I think the most important thing we can do is improve our probation system. Currently, we don't have enough probation officers, and so they're overwhelmed and they don't do a good job of supervising probationers, and this is true of parolees as well, but probation is where we can save a lot of money. If we increase the number of probation officers, which we need to do, give them a more manageable caseload, and then provide treatment and assistance to not just put somebody on probation when we know they're an addict, we know they're going to fail the terms of probation and they're going to end up in the state penitentiary. If we can provide local treatment, that's a critical component. And then secondly, when they are revoked, I think they ought to be revoked in intermediate sanctions. There should not be, if you fail one drug test, you're revoked for 6 months. Or if you commit a misdemeanor crime, you're revoked for 6 months. There ought to be, it doesn't do any good. These studies have shown, data shown that, in fact, it increases recidivism the longer you send them. So there ought to be intermediate first revocation, 60 days, and graduating up as they continue to violate the terms or the severity of their offenses increase.
All right, Representative Flowers, 2 things that you think need to be addressed in this arena.
I think we need to do a better job of funding our drug courts, and in addition to that, providing some uniformity and funding for veterans courts, which we know focus on in both of those areas works to save money by targeting those groups which tend to have some very specific issues. And I kind of couch that as one.
That's okay.
So the second thing that I think we need to do is really do an overhaul in reforming not only the sentencing but the incarceration of people with mental illness. We know that our prisons are filled with people whose problems really stem from mental illness that goes untreated. And so we're really pouring bad money after worse
Right.
when we don't address the real problem with that population, and they come out and we know that the primary issue with them is still an issue, and we expect for them to transition effectively and not be a part of that group who come back to prison. So
Do you agree with Senator Hutchinson's proposals too, and do you agree with her proposals?
I certainly agree with this latter proposal. I think mental illness is a significant problem and we are not addressing it. Instead, we are incarcerating, which is far more expensive than if we would get treatment for these people. So that I certainly agree with. I think the jury's still out on drug courts and veterans courts. They certainly can work in locations. It depends a lot on the judge and the degree of probation support staff that they have. But there's also some conflicting evidence that they don't work. They don't improve numbers compared to just standard probation. So that, to me, we still need to look at data to determine.
Representative Flowers, 30 seconds. What do you think about Senator Hutchinson's proposals?
I think everything that we've talked about is something that could be addressed. The important thing is to do it right. I think that we can look at data, and where it's not done right, it would show that it doesn't work.
Right.
And so we have to have, uniformity. I think that, and consistency, I think that's an important piece to anything that we do.
All right, I'm getting the wrap-up sign there, which means it's our kumbaya moment. We should end at this point right here. So, Senator Hutchinson, Representative Flowers, thank y'all both so much. Appreciate you. And thank you for watching. I'm Roby Brock. Have a busy and a productive week. We'll see you next time.